Welcome back to Reds Fusion LFC. We've got massive transfer drama heating up. Liverpool and Newcastle are locked in a £50 million battle for Alexander Isak. Secret talks, bold moves, and a shocking £144.9 million revelation. You don't want to miss this. Smash that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe for all the latest LFC news and updates. Let's dive in, Reds. Liverpool and Newcastle set for separate £50 million transfer battle amid Alexander Isak drama. Liverpool and Newcastle are both vying to sign Crystal Palace defender Mark Guehi while also negotiating over Alexander Isak, who has become the Reds' #1 transfer target. Crystal Palace have told Liverpool and Newcastle United to cough up £50 million for England international defender Mark Guehi. The two clubs already locked in tense negotiations over Toon striker Alexander Isak are also battling over Selhurst star Guehi. Newcastle missed out on Guehi 12 months ago after refusing to meet the then asking price of £70 million, having a number of bids rising to £65 million turned down. Once again Palace chairman Steve Parish is playing hardball even though the cultured defender only has a year left on his contract and has knocked back offers of a new one. Liverpool have had a £40 million bid dismissed by Parish while Newcastle again are not prepared to come up with the asking price, leaving Guehi in limbo. It's the same with his international teammate Eberechi, with North London rivals Arsenal and Spurs not prepared to pay his £68 million release clause and Palace once again standing firm. Guehi has been a wanted man for a number of years, with Manchester City, Chelsea and Tottenham all credited with having interest in recent seasons alongside Liverpool. The 25-year-old, who started his career with Chelsea, has played 155 times for the Eagles across 4 seasons and has also become an England regular, picking up 23 caps. Liverpool have already beaten Newcastle to the signing of Hugo Ekitike in this window after snapping up the French forward for £79 million and will be hopeful of pipping them to Guehi, amid tension between the two clubs over Isak's future. Isak has told the club he wants to consider his options and did not travel with the Newcastle squad for their pre-season tour in Asia, instead training on his own at the facilities of old club Real Sociedad this week. Newcastle is said to value Isak at £150 million and have already rejected Liverpool's opening bid of around £110 million, which was said to be a take-it-or-leave-it offer. Magpies boss Eddie Howe has admitted Isak's future is not in his control, after previously insisting he was confident the player would stay put this summer. Paul Joyce breaks deal that sees Liverpool realise £144.9 million transfer truth. Liverpool are set to further bolster their kitty this summer with the sale of Tyler Morton to Lyon now imminent. Paul Joyce confirmed the transfer in question on X, formerly Twitter. The midfielder is set to now follow in the footsteps of Luis Diaz, Jarell Quansah, Caoimhin Kelleher, and Trent Alexander-Arnold, and others, in seeking pastures new. Liverpool agree Tyler Morton transfer exit. First things first, we at Empire of the Cop would like to thank Morton for all his contributions in a Liverpool shirt. He's been unfortunate to have pretty stiff competition in midfield under Jurgen Klopp and Arne Slot. That said, from our point of view, he's been a consummate professional and hasn't lacked for quality or effort during his time at Anfield. Empire of the Cop reported back in late July that Lyon had expressed a clear interest in signing Tyler Morton this summer. The deal will see Liverpool pocket around £15 million, according to Joyce, on top of a 20% sell-on clause. So, some pretty tidy business all round from Richard Hughes and the recruitment team. How much have Liverpool made from player sales this summer? Despite some pretty major outlays on players like Florian Wirtz and Hugo Ekitike, and, soon, perhaps, Alexander Isak, we've done well to recoup some funds this summer. Including Alexander-Arnold's meager £8.4 million fee, to accelerate his exit ahead of a free transfer to Real Madrid, we've brought in roughly £144.9 million, including add-ons. Bear in mind there's every possibility Liverpool could significantly add to that total if they can manage to sell Darwin Núñez to Saudi Arabia for a reported asking price of £60.7 million. That would take sales beyond the £200 million mark, which stacks up reasonably well with our current outlay total of approximately £266 million, including add-ons. Liverpool performing well in sales is always a positive indicator. There's nothing that quite beats the adrenaline rush of cash being splashed like there's no tomorrow. Not to mention the blissful sight of a brand new, shiny footballer walking through the doors of the AXA training centre. That said, Liverpool have hardly racked up a sound reputation for their incomings alone. Michael Edwards' reputation was certainly bolstered by his remarkable ability to extract top value from deadwood in the squad. It's incredibly reassuring to see that Richard Hughes has picked up the torch on this front and is already leading a new era of savvy transfer dealings. Long may it continue. Alexander Isak, due to make Newcastle return after Liverpool transfer bid. Liverpool made an offer for Alexander Isak earlier in the week. The player has been training in Spain while his Newcastle United teammates have been on tour in Asia. Newcastle United striker Alexander Isak is reportedly due to return to Tyneside today after spending the week in Spain training individually at his former club, Real Sociedad's, facilities. Liverpool made an offer for Isak earlier this week that was rejected, Newcastle boss Eddie Howe confirmed earlier. The Magpies are set to face Spurs in South Korea tomorrow, with a game on Friday lined up at St. James Park against Espanyol. Isak should be flying back to Tyneside today. The rest of the Newcastle team will return on Monday with the new Premier League season now just a couple of weeks away. I was made aware of a bid yesterday and that bid was turned down, all before I'd even heard about it, Howe said this morning. People back in England are dealing with the situation. I don't know what happens next. From our perspective, we still support Alex in every way. My wish is that we see him in a Newcastle shirt again. I know where he is, really, through the media. From that perspective, it's difficult for me to go into any kind of detail. The situation is far from ideal and is quite complex. In the last 24 hours, Newcastle has lodged a formal bid worth $93 million, £70 million, including add-ons for Benjamin Sesko, the RB Leipzig forward who could replace Isak. According to The Athletic, the bid matches what the Bundesliga side is demanding for the Slovenian. Around $87 million, £65 million, would be guaranteed, with a small amount of performance-related bonuses on top. Newcastle and Manchester United have both made it clear to Sesko that they want to sign him, however, and the player's decision has not yet been confirmed. He has been left out of Leipzig's friendly against Atlanta today. We are looking at the best players we can get, Howe said when he was pressed on Sesko, in particular. We are only looking at the best we can get. I see all situations open and available to us. I feel that is the only way we are going to get where we want to go, which is to maximize quality over quantity. That is the way it has always been, the way we work, we try to improve, and we have done it pretty well to this point. It has been a challenging summer, as you know. We have missed out on loads of different targets for different reasons. But we are still very competitive and we are still in there trying to bring good players to the club, that won't change until the window shuts. If Sesko does move to Newcastle, then it makes sense that its Isak stance would soften. He is going to be expensive, but Liverpool has the funds. Liverpool to remain patient in pursuit of £40 million transfer target. Waiting on Guehi, Edwards plays the long game. With Crystal Palace placing a £40 million valuation on their star defender Mark Guehi, it appears Liverpool, and more specifically, Michael Edwards, are prepared to bide their time in their hunt for new additions. The Reds are reportedly content to wait until later in August, hoping that the South London club softens their stance and a deal can be struck closer to the end of the summer transfer window. It appears the player is keen on a move to Merseyside and with 1 year remaining on his current deal, holds much of the power in deciding his future. It's a strategic gamble, but one built upon logic. Liverpool, now Premier League champions for the second time in 6 seasons, are no longer forced buyers. They're architects of their window, moving on their timeline and under brilliant executive leadership. Unlike previous regimes that might have overpaid early to get their man, this iteration, led by the returning Edwards and implemented by sporting director Richard Hughes, knows the market, knows its needs, and knows when to hold its nerve. Selling Jarell Quansah to Bayer Leverkusen for a fee of £35 million has created a clear vacancy at the heart of Liverpool's defensive rotation. Virgil van Dijk's 2-year extension provides short-term continuity, and Ibrahima Konaté's likely new contract cements him as the long-term successor as defensive leader. But with Joe Gomez's patchy availability and Wataru Endo more of an emergency option, Liverpool needs another starting-level defender, one capable of playing across both centre-back roles with authority. Guehi over Hato, why practicality beats potential. Chelsea's recent move to sign Jorel Hato, one of the most exciting young centre-backs in Europe, sparked some frustration among Liverpool supporters. At £35 million, the fee appeared accessible, especially considering Hato's age and upside. But while the Ajax prodigy has immense potential, the answer to Liverpool's defensive dilemma lies more in proven quality than speculative promise. Hato would not displace Virgil van Dijk, nor would he develop quickly enough behind him in a summer of such aggressive evolution at Anfield. Meanwhile, Milos Kerkez's arrival has already fortified the left-back spot, with Andy Robertson still serving as an experienced, high-level option. Investing in another left-sided defender with limited top-level experience would have been more luxury than necessity. Mark Guehi, by contrast, is Premier League battle-tested, England's starting centre-back at Euro 2024, and already a leader at just 24. He can play both sides of a central pairing, is dominant in duels, and thrives in high-line systems, a non-negotiable under Arne Slot. Arne Slot's secret Alexander Isak talks revealed as Ornstein update fuels Liverpool hopes. A respected journalist is convinced Liverpool cannot be discounted from the race to sign Alexander Isak just yet amid claims Arne Slot has held secret talks with the unsettled Newcastle striker, while an update from David Ornstein has further fueled belief that a British record transfer is there to be done. Isak's future has been thrust firmly under the spotlight over the last fortnight after it emerged that he was keen to leave Newcastle and sign for Liverpool, a story exclusively first broken by our transfer correspondent Fraser Fletcher on that fateful Thursday, last week, when the news emerged. With the Sweden striker skipping the club's tour of Asia, despite his scan from an alleged calf problem coming back all clear, question marks over his continuation at St James' Park have reached fever pitch in recent days amid a firm opening offer from Liverpool for his services. Worth £110 million, plus add-ons taking it towards a British record £120 million, €137.5 million, $159 million, Newcastle had no hesitation in rejecting that bid, staying true to their official not-for-sale mantra, while also continuing to stick by their hefty £150 million, €172 million, $199 million, demands. That has since led to claims from Ben Jacobs that the Premier League champions are ready to walk away from a prospective deal over fears of the rising costs involved. However, another journalist, Julian Lawrence, is convinced a blockbuster deal is still on, claiming the striker is merely waiting for the move to go through and having also revealed the 25-year-old's secret talks with Reds boss Arne Slot. You would expect Liverpool to up their offer, probably to around €140 million, and you would expect, really, Newcastle to accept it and Isak to arrive at the club, Lawrence said on ESPN's YouTube channel. Isak right now only wants Liverpool, he doesn't want to go anywhere else. He's training on his own in San Sebastian, at Real Sociedad's training ground, just waiting literally for the move to happen to Liverpool. Lawrence added, he's already spoken to Arne Slot, I think personal terms have already been agreed or certainly not far from it. Isak to Liverpool, updates from Ornstein, Romano, and Keith Downey. Lawrence also thinks Liverpool's chances will accelerate once Newcastle agree a deal on a replacement for the Swede in attack. So, now it's just a case of Liverpool finding an agreement with Newcastle and also Newcastle finding a replacement, Lawrence adds. Whether that's Sesko, Watkins, Wissa, they've got a few names on their shortlist, but they also need to find a replacement before this whole deal with Liverpool for Isak happens. A new update from Ornstein on Saturday morning has revealed that Newcastle have raised the stakes with Sesko.